I said record. Oh,
Okay.
thank you. Okay. All right. So part one, um, think that perhaps you do not like to keep records, but it is mandated and illegal not to keep them. Think about when you are writing down the notes, if you are back to back with clients, look at the minimum required and think if that's enough for you or not. Why and how to go about it. AI tools, what do you think about them? What safeguards to contemplate? So, I mean, for me, it's definite. I mean, I'm just imagining if I am in an agency where it's just a lot of clients back to back, then I would be okay with the minimum
Mm,
requirement. So, like the DAP, just like, or defensible entry, like something that I'm going to be not in trouble with, like my supervisor or the law.
mhm,
Um, I might have the separate notes, process notes,
mhm.
um, and I might have to go back later or just take a few notes there and then maybe expand on that later. That's what I'm just envisioning.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think, yeah, I'm thinking about similar things. It's like my first thought at like how easy or difficult do you think it would be? Um, I can imagine it being difficult if I don't do it right away.
Yeah.
Like once I if I like let it sit for a day and like I've seen a bunch of different clients or something, I could see it like
Mhm.
going from my mind. So that could seem difficult, but um I like the idea of doing the minimum required from like a ethical legal standpoint. I just like the idea of less is more, like vague notes and yeah, it feels more protective to my clients. Um, and
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I think for me, if I just jot down like separately something I'd want to like whatever arts intervention I might have done or like one
yeah,
like however they responded and what I'd like to do next. But that would like if I just did like a little thing that I can expand on later so I remember the client and what we did and what I want to do next, I could come back to that. But yeah, I totally agree with you. If I don't at least jot something down right away, it's not going to happen. Like I might
yeah,
forget. Yeah.
yeah, like leaving yourself like little breadcrumbs to be like, okay, this
Mhm.
is what we did. And yeah. And then AI tool wise,
Mhm.
I am very skeptical of AI. I don't really, yeah, I don't want to use it. So yeah, I don't see AI as something that I'm ever going to use. And I just, yeah, I don't think it's necessary. And I think it's like not safe. Like we don't know where this like data, where this information is going. Like we're like feeding like potentially client information into like these AI tools. Like I feel like that's like um I don't know. And I feel like at the very minimum, if like a clinician is going to use AI, I think it's like their responsibility to tell the client and see if it's like okay with them. Because like personally, me as a client, I would like never see a therapist if they were using AI. And if I found out that they were using it and not telling me, it would be like a huge rupture. So yeah, yeah,
Mm, yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking about how prevalent it's probably going to become. I don't
mm,
know. Just thinking ahead. Like, I just, whenever I take my kids to a doctor's visit, like the doctor's always like, can I use this AI summarizing app? And I'm like, sure.
yeah, yeah,
But I don't know. I just imagine maybe in the future, if we know more, it's more just controlled. I might. And again, of course, if my client was okay with it. All right.
yeah,
Should we move on?
yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, part two about Jordan. Um, 16-year-old engaging in non-suicidal self-injury, um, wanting the therapist not to tell anybody about it, worried about their records being read. Um, yeah, I think my first thought with this case is college should not be having access to the records anyways. So I think just like doing some psychoeducation over like with the client, over like what the records process is like, what kind of notes I keep and like literally want to like have a conversation of like what I'm even like writing. And I would like want this conversation to happen even before it comes up. Like that would probably be one of the things that I would have hoped I would have already talked about in like the first or second session or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's tricky though, because don't we have to write like the like what's happening, like the self-injury, the non-suicidal?
I'm unclear on if we have to write that or not. Because I saw somewhere, I forget what reading it was, and then I looked into it. It said in one of the readings that were assigned this week, it said something like we're required to document self-injury or self-harm or whatever.
Mhm.
But then when I was Googling it, I wasn't able to find a law or like thing that says we have to report it. And I could maybe I'm not looking in the right places. I would love to hear like um
Mm-hmm.
professors.
Yeah, no, I was under the impression saying that you have to, like by California law. Like,
Yeah, I couldn't find a law when I looked
yeah,
it up.
interesting. Okay.
So I could be mistaken. I don't want to like, whatever, but I think yeah. And I also like I guess I want to know what is self-injury, right? Are they cutting themselves
Yeah,
to like, you know what I mean? Are they like hitting themselves? Are they pulling out their hair? Are they like having unsafe sex? Like self-injury can be like huge, like overeating, that could be considered self-harm. Like, like there's so many things that we can consider self-harm. So I'm like, what exactly is happening? Um, and yeah, I think just like informed consent, like letting the kid know like what would happen if they were to tell us this, like having everything in place before the information is revealed feels like really important. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Like, bring this up before we even start talking. And then there was something about, um, gosh, where was it? It was something about you don't have to let the parents see it. It was like you give a note or something about how why it's not in the child's best interest or something like that.
Yeah, I think there was something like provide, or I don't remember the phrasing, like provider may, if
What
something if
a
like it's
PowerPoint.
detrimental, if it's like,
Yeah,
like you can like deny or like not send the records if it's like detrimental or like harmful to like the kid. So it could also be like, okay, well, this could be like devastating for the therapeutic relationship if like they were to find out. So it's like even if you were to like have to say, it's like, well, this is like this would maybe put the kid in more
exactly.
danger or more,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So I feel like, yeah, that could be like an argument against
Yeah,
like not sharing. And then also like just having super vague notes so that if like for some reason the notes do have to come out, like that they're vague. I think that's what my like therapist would reassure me sometimes where it's like, oh, if like something like were to happen where your notes were to get out, my notes are so vague they wouldn't even know what we're talking about. And so like I feel like that was reassuring to me as a client. So I'm like, I would love to do that for my future clients.
mhm,
Like don't worry, I leave my notes like as vague as possible. So like, even if, insurance, they might have to look at it, they're just gonna see like the bare minimum. Um, yeah. Obviously like my like insurance notes, not like my own personal notes and
mhm,
stuff. But yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. And yeah, Jordan's parents have a history of requesting
Exactly.
access to
Yeah.
records. Like,
That's why I'm thinking if they're going to, right?
yeah,
And I think later it says they will,
yeah,
then I would try with that first of like it's not in his best or her best interest to
yeah,
disclose.
yeah. And I think like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then same with like the audit. So that's why I was like, well, I do
mhm,
have to write something. So like
exactly.
it has to be defensible. So
Like
there.
something like, oh, like client is forming new habit. Client is forming client has new coping mechanism that we're trying to modify or like trying new thing because like self-injury, if you really think about what it is, it's just another coping mechanism, but there's this like negative connotation. So
Yeah.
it's like it's a coping mechanism. So
Yeah.
maybe we can just call it a coping mechanism, especially if their life is not in danger, right? Like it'd be different if they're cutting so deep that they need hospital attention or like, something like that, like where, but it says non-suicidal or whatever the
Yeah, it is. It's
non-suicidal self-injury. So I'm assuming it's not like they're
deep
required.
cuts or something, or yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Should we move on?
yeah.
Okay. So moral dilemmas.
Mhm.
Um, let's see where. Move down to core questions for discussion. And one, what belongs in the record and what does not?
Yeah.
So, like, are you there? Sorry, you
Yeah.
froze.
Oh,
Um, well, I guess I was looking up a defensive entry is like what I know, what I did, and sorry.
mhm.
Yeah, what I did and why I did it. So
Yeah.
just keeping it pretty, as you said, vague, but it's the bare minimum.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
data assessment and plan.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Exactly. Agree with that. And then how do you document safely while minimizing future harm? Think, yeah, I think a lot of the stuff we've already been saying, just like thinking about how this can impact them in so many ways. Like, how can it impact our client with their parents or with like insurance, like to keep getting insurance coverage? Like, we want to document enough so that they know this person still needs help, that they're not going to cut off because we're like, oh, everything's good. And then they're not going to give insurance benefits anymore. And then also just trying to maintain our clients' trust as best as we can.
Mhm.
Feels like a hard balance.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Um, yeah.
Navigate
I guess,
fears.
yeah. So just I was going to add just to
Mhm.
minimize future harm, like definitely I would not include any detailed anecdotes or quotes or anything like that.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. Number three, how do you navigate the client's fears while maintaining required standards? I like what you said about uh yeah, talking about gosh, it's escaping me. So it's not disclosure, but
Mhm.
um mandated reporting and whatever else, like records that are going to be shared, like that kind of information right from the get-go.
Yeah. And like letting them know, like, hey, if these records are requested, this is like what the process would be. From my understanding, I don't really know, but
Mhm.
like, let's say like the courts or something like did request the records, I think it would be a process. It wouldn't just be like, oh, like I'm giving your records away without you even knowing. It's like there would be a process. You'd be able to contact your client. You'd be able to be like, here are these records that I would have to give up. And you could like have like a whole discussion about it. And I think just like being very honest is like
Mhm.
important. Yeah. And like working with the client and saying like, what do you think would be good for you? Like, how would you want me to write your notes? Like, what are you hoping that I write? Or like, up to a certain degree, like, they could have influence in like how we write things too.
That's a nice thought.
Yeah. It could be like empowering for a teenager too.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we move on?
Yeah.
Before, what constitutes a defensible entry here? So I think what I looked up was, yeah, like what I know and what I did and like why we did it. So the intervention, like getting the data, the assessment, and choosing an intervention and the rationale for it.
Exactly. Yeah. I pretty much the same thing and just being able to like explain like why I am doing it. Yeah. Why I wrote the note that I did and what my plan is and yeah.
Okay, so let's see. It says, finally discuss and answer. Number one, what is the emotional weight of documentation and how does it shape care?
Feels very heavy for certain people, especially those who have already been harmed by our systems and things. So I
Oh,
feel like,
yeah.
different. people will weigh it differently. So I think for me as a clinician, knowing how much power like I hold and how much what I write can like influence people like positively or negatively, it feels like a huge weight. And yeah, something very important, probably like one of the most important parts of the job, in terms of like how we can really protect our clients from like legal trouble and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you with the weight. Like I want to protect myself and protect the client, and I want to remember what we did. So
Yes, yeah.
I
Very
think that's
important.
going to be my separate process note of what's the intervention and what which interventions do I want to recommend, and like yeah, maybe
Definitely.
that's where I might put like a lot more detail.
Yeah, it seems like process notes are like the place to be a little more liberal with our thoughts.
Mm-hmm. I think that might just shape care for me more so.
Yeah,
This is just like something that has to be done, the
yeah.
progress. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, should we move on?
Yeah, how do we write ethically when our notes may someday be weaponized? I think really similar to what we've been saying, just like,
Mhm.
keeping it vague, um, and like have keeping in mind that like I feel like I like to go in with it thinking like our notes will be weaponized. So like what are we going to do with that, being said like just going into each case being like, okay, yeah, like something could happen. And so let me make sure that I'm prepared from the start because you never know. Like you might think you get an easy client or something and then something crazy happens in their life. And so it's like always treating each client with this like seriousness when it comes to this because it is like legal stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that of like just assuming it's going to be weaponized. So just with that in mind, how are we going to minimize damage and harm? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Number three, what is the difference between protecting a client and protecting yourself?
Mhm. Yeah, I think
Yeah, go ahead.
protecting yourself could just be like writing a note, like not even considering how like putting self-harm in somebody's file could like really impact them negatively. And
Yes.
just doing it because I have to document this, not
Mhm.
thinking of any other way that you could go about it.
Mhm.
Or like maybe not self-harm, but some other thing, it could be anything. Um, I think just like if we get too focused on the consequences for ourselves,
Mhm. Mhm.
I think client first always. I feel like in my mind, I'm like, I'm the one with the power, you know, like
That's
these
true.
are,
Yeah.
people I'm serving. Like this is a job or,
Stay humble about our power, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah. Um,
yeah. And then also protecting ourselves to the degree of like, we want to be able to keep doing our job.
yes, that's why I'm thinking like protecting both of us might be just as you said, keeping it vague and just at a minimum.
Yeah. And like I think like the biggest thing is just always knowing how to like defend your notes. Like if you write it, just being at like, I feel like as long as you can kind of like somehow talk your way out of like talk your way into explaining like what you meant, I think that it'll be okay because yeah, like I've been looking into like the actual number of like clinicians who get like in trouble for not reporting abuse or whatever, and it's very minimal. Like the amount of clinicians that like get in trouble for mandated reporting stuff is so low. The highest thing is actually clinicians having sex with their clients. So which
Oh, that's
yeah,
troubling. That is really troubling.
very
Wow.
disturbing when I looked into that and I was reading about it because I was like,
That
yeah,
is
I took a
that power dynamic. It's like taking advantage of that. That sucks.
awful, and that's actually where the most clinicians like get legal consequences is doing those like sexual
Oh,
relationships,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and so I think it's actually pretty rare for a therapist to be in trouble for like mandated reporting stuff. So I think that's just also something to keep in mind. I think sometimes as clinicians, we get a little too worried about protecting ourselves. Like we think like, oh my God, they're going to come and get us. But, for the most part, it's pretty rare. So
That's good to know. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I learned that in a mandated reporting workshop that I took.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah,
All right. Well, we
yeah.
did it.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll post this right now.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank
take
you.
care. Bye.